Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Thursday, May 11th, 2023. Good morning. I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with AEW Dynamite broadcast live last night on TBS from the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. The main event saw Jon Moxley defeat Kenny Omega in a steel cage match, thanks in part to Don Callis turning on Omega and attacking him with a screwdriver.
This is it! Omega! Yes! Winged Angel! Kenny did it! One! He two! What? What the hell did Don Callis do? What are you laughing about? He's got a mark on his head, courtesy of the Blackpool Combat Club. What's he doing? Don Callis has told us for years he considers Omega family. And Moxley, no.
The winner of this match, Jon Moxley.
Talk about a shocking turn of events.
In the opening match, Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli defeated Rey Fenix of the Lucha Brothers in a non-title match. Per the match's stipulation, Castagnoli can select a partner of his choosing to challenge the Lucha Brothers for the ROH World Tag Team title at a later date. In championship matches, Orange Cassidy made his 21st successful defense of the international title, pinning Daniel Garcia, and the House of Black retained the AEW World Trios title against the team of the Best Friends and Bandito.
He's in trouble. Dante's Inferno! That's got to be it. 1, 2, 3!
The show featured the TV returns of Miro and Thunder Rosa, who appeared in separate backstage segments in which they were seen going into Tony Khan's office. This led to the news that Khan would be making a related announcement on next week's show. In an in-ring angle, AEW World Tag Team Champions FTR accepted the challenge of Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett for a match at Double or Nothing, with Mark Briscoe as the referee. A brawl broke out afterwards, in which Dax Harwood appeared to accidentally pile-drive Briscoe. In other results, Anna Jay defeated Julia Hart via submission in a no-holds-barred match. In injury news, Eddie Kingston underwent successful surgery yesterday to repair a hernia, according to a social media update from Kingston. Kingston had told fans at last Sunday's Ring of Honor tapings that he expected to be out of action for 6 weeks of recovery. His last match was against ROH World Champion Claudio Castagnoli at Supercard of Honor last March. Now with some legal news, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
A fan's lawsuit against WWE, dating back to WrestleMania 38, was dismissed last Tuesday, according to official court documents. U.S. District Judge Mark T. Pittman of the District Court of Tarrant County, Texas, dismissed with prejudice the case, in which Tarrant County resident Marvin Jackson claimed he lost his hearing in one ear as a result of explosive pyro during last year's WrestleMania at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. The judge ruled against the plaintiff, citing the terms and conditions Jackson had agreed to during the purchase of his ticket to the event, which released WWE from liability in the event of such injury. As part of the ruling, Judge Pittman cited precedent establishing that the ticket buyer is not required to have knowledge of the terms and conditions in order for them to be legally binding, providing the buyer has technically received notice of them from the vendor. Jackson had been requesting a jury trial and a monetary compensation of $1 million, but those requests were denied as a result of the case being dismissed. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
And in ratings news, last Tuesday's NXT drew an audience of 601,000 to USA Network, an increase of almost 6% from last week's audience of 568,000, according to Showbuzz Daily. The rating in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic was .17, representing 222,000 viewers, an increase from the previous week's .14 key demo rating, according to WrestleNomics. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The wrestling news can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News Podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the wrestling news across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the wrestling news. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.